morning and welcome to sunny Brookvale Oval, the home of what today will be the Opal Bowl, Kookaburra Bowl and Waratah Bowl. Kicking off with the Opal Bowl, in the booth with me I have Emma Lawton, an established Gridiron New South Wales player who's been around for a long time. My name is Mitch Wallner. I'll be here to commentate with you today. Emma, have we got predictions for the day? How do we think it's going to go?
I think this is going to be a very close game. The previous two games between these two clubs this season have ended in a draw and then a last-minute touchdown to win for the Rebels. So I think we're going to see a very, very closely competed game today.
That's fantastic. And do you think from there'll be any changes or major, I guess, updates to their game plan coming in today based on heat, location or anything else? I know last week we had a cancelled game, so the Raiders are down a game compared to the Rebels at the moment based on prep. So do you think there'll be any major changes there?
Yes and no. I think both teams are going to have some trick plays that they've been keeping up their sleeves all season, not wanting to pull out until this last minute. But mostly I think we're going to see a very similar game from both teams. I think with the heat, there'll be some more run plays than normal. Both teams are quite strong runners as well, but that could open up to some outside passes too as it gets later in the game and as fatigue starts to set in with this heat.
I think something very similar around, I've spoken to both coaches prior to the game. They've got some really strong views on maintaining what they do and what they do well. Do you know what I mean? And I think in any time towards a grand final like this, you start to see wrinkles in their game plan, but nothing that's going to be dramatically different. I don't think that we're going to come out and see them completely change their main offense or defense or anything like that. But I do expect to have possibly some trick plays, some formations that we haven't seen before, trying to keep everyone honest and make sure that they're not giving too easy a read. Do you have any players that you think we should watch out for?
There's a few interesting players. I know we've got a few fly-in players this year, so there's a couple coming down from Queensland. Raiders have got a quarterback that has come in from Germany.
Wow, an import.
Yes.
There you go.
So she's joined halfway through the season and have really sort of lit things up. She's played in Germany for a few years. She's played in Sweden, so it'll be interesting to see how she goes, especially in this heat.
I think so, and they're going to have to summon some sterling effort. They nearly need to be Wonder Woman out on the field there today with the amount of heat that'll start to kick in later into the season or later into the game. I think early on, do you think they'll be conservative and just try and get the ball rolling, or are they going to take some shots deep early?
I'd like to see some deep early shots. I think they will sort of stick to their main games to start to get the ball rolling, get into rhythm. This is obviously a big game, but both teams have got big game experience, having competed this game the last 2 years. Mostly I think we're going to see some rolling out of the gate. There might be one or two sort of long passes in the first couple of drives for both teams, but I think mostly we're going to see them stick to their guns. Yeah,
that's it. And you can see the illustrious officiating crew down here led by CT Johnson, who is a stalwart in Gridiron New South Wales officiating, as well as the founding member of the Northern Rebels Gridiron Club, Steve there, who's always up for a yarn, as you can tell, looking incredibly dapper in his northern Sydney attire.
That's it. We've got a very good crew of officials today, some good experience across the board, so that should play into a nice even game for us.
For everyone who doesn't know, and for those watching at home, I know we have a lot of officials there, and we're going through what you can see is a pre-game understanding of who they're going to be doing, what they're going to be doing. Each official has a really specific job, and the head official, or the white hat there, CT, who you can identify by his white hat. And I'm going to cut to that. The teams are coming out, very exciting. We can see here that the Raiders are coming out first. Prepared for a hot day, some nice towels, some intensity and focus as they start to run out onto the far side. We'll see the Rebels come out next. And you can see there's a whole heap of supporting staff around that. So to summarise out, Dane, who's their head coach, will be leading this team today, and he's especially defensively minded. This is the first year that the women have gone to nine-a-side, is that correct, or that was last year?
This year, so we played nine-a-side back in 2016. It's been seven-a-side since then. The Gridiron New South Wales made the move back to nine-a-side as the league started to grow this year, which I think is a very strong move to build the game moving forward.
Incredibly exciting, and I think, what would you see are the main differences from seven-a-side to nine-a-side from a offensive and defensive point of view as the Rebels run out here?
Offensively, seven-a-side you have a lot more room. Chances are if you get an outside pass or an outside run, if they can get the outside, they're pretty much gone. Seven-a-side is played with a slightly smaller field, but that extra two-man deficit does make a difference. Defensively, you've got a different formation, so most teams play two safeties or additional strong safeties. there's also additional routes, combinations, runs that you can put in with 9-man football that you just can't with 7 due to lack of availability of players.
Yeah, no, and I can completely see that as they've brought on some new formations and some complexity in the passing game. With both QBs are able to now pass effectively and really start to challenge the dynamic of a run-only league. I think it's really exciting to see bigger passes and more complex schemes starting to come into the women's game based on the rules allowing it. So you can see Blake Jones down there as the head coach of the Northern Sydney Rebels. He's been quite effective in his tenure as head coach. A New South Wales State player himself. He came to an untimely end with an injury in a game against Victoria. But yeah, since then he's taken up the mantle, and you can see now the coin toss is about to kick off with both captains from both teams heading out into the middle of the field. So this will determine whether they choose to receive the ball or kick, or they defer that decision to the second half.
Is that right?
I'm not sure if we're live down there. It looks like we can see it. Always focused on trying to maintain a level of sportsmanship in GNSW, so handshakes, and there's a specific mechanical way in which the officials like to do the handshakes with teams staying a certain way.
You guys obviously played amazingly.
Often the officials use this as an opportunity to make sure they highlight the rules of the game or anything that they're going to be particularly watching for, as well as making sure that the teams understand that this is to be a fun game, a fair game, and everything else. So I think CT will keep a pretty tight leash on this game. The timing rules have changed as well with your transition to 9-a-side, is that correct?
Yes, we now play 12-minute quarters, and we play timing as per normal rules, so incomplete pass, ball goes out of bounds, the clock does stop. Previously in 7-man football it was a running clock, so we just had the straight quarters.
Understood. And so do you think that changes, I guess, the dynamics of a game when in previous years you'd see if a team was ahead, it was quite hard to catch up, but now with the stop-start clock you have the ability to catch up in a more effective way and not roll over in many ways?
Correct. It adds a bit more tactics to the game as well. The team's doing well, can't just continually keep the ball and run the clock out as well. So it does give the team that's down a chance to come back, as you said. I think it does make a difference. Obviously, it puts a lot more game time in as well, which is always an advantage. Yep,
no worries. And we're about to see where they're going. Cutting over to our officials now.
UNSW will be kicking off this direction.
Live cut to the officials. We're about to figure out who's receiving and who isn't. We're going to work on that. I believe the view is that they've chosen to receive and that the Raiders will be kicking off. It's an interesting move when we talk about the mechanics around choosing whether to kick or receive, and I think a lot of the time people who defer or coaches who defer to the second half are quite circumspect on, making sure they're not going to take any major risks and control the tempo going into the second half. You can see Blake here now trying to rally his team around and get them to focus. I've been on the sidelines with Blake before. He's incredibly focused, job's not done kind of attitude until the final whistle blows. I think we'll expect to see the Rebels execute all the way through to the last final whistle.
Yes, 100%. I've played under Blake at a state level, and he's very good at revving up players, keeping them focused on the sideline and getting them ready to go out on that field. So I don't think there'll be any sort of concerns about them not starting out as hard as they can.
1-4. And so from the interesting point of view and looking at who's going to be a major contributor, who do you think is going to really rev up both offense and defense on these teams being closer to them?
It's going to be interesting. I know Rebels are missing Kiara, their running back, today, which will be a big hit for them. So that'll put a lot more pressure on Kat, their running back as well. But it may also play into a more heavier run package with Alia and perhaps Chrissy as well getting in there.
Yeah, fantastic. And I think that's something that is always hard going into these longer seasons as the heat starts to kick in. You've got to be able to account for performance or loss of players across a variety of different ways. So we are correct. We are seeing that the Raiders will kick off, which means the Rebels are planning to receive. They're in a different formation depending on kicking distance, where they have a 4-man, 2, 1 and 2 back, which allows them to do some creative stuff around kick blocking, which is going to be particularly interesting.
Yes, it is, but it does open up that sideline in that third line for a potential short ball there. If the Raiders can kick it down there and get it to stop, opens up the potential for a recovery by the Raiders.
Be a dangerous kicking position to be in from the Rebels' recovery point of view. Looks like they've chased it down. Received by number 11, running through the blocks here. Great tackle by number 54. Well played.
Good start to the game. A nice quick return, getting the ball ahead, so they got the preference over the starting wherever they take that kick, so always that advantage if you can get a kick return and get some good metres off it.
Not a bad return at all, really, when we think getting it back to the 40-yard line. You can see here on the replay, getting a lot of distance straight up down the field. They get shoestringed a little bit and then brought down well by number 54 after shaking a block incredibly good.
Yep, that's grace there from the Raiders. That's an absolutely great tackle, especially in coverage on an open man.
All right, so they're out and spread. Trips to the wide side of the field. 3 receivers. Ball snap, simple speed option. QB keep, getting pulled down, fighting and blown early.
Yep, there's a couple of yards gain. It's unfortunate. It looked like the running back was a little bit open there, but that wasn't a bad read to keep that ball and get whatever yards you can there. Raiders seem to get into the backfield very quickly.
I think one of the problems with speed option is that they're trying to read an end of some description, so it's always complicated when you see whether or not someone's open or not. Into trips to the field again, same formation. Adjustments have been made. You can see that from the field. Motion to the narrow side, zipping back out. You're going to see a pass here, out to the field, deep across the middle. Incomplete. Onto the chest of the receiver, a little bit low. Number 5 there was unable to reel it in. Unfortunately for everyone watching at home, the ground cannot assist you in catching the ball. So if it has to be a clean catch, and the same rules apply that if you're tackled and the ball pops out and the ground causes the ball to pop out, it doesn't count as a fumble.
Yep, correct. That's interesting play there with Tegan catching the ball, so mainly known as a running back. So it's interesting how they've mixed that up there as well.
We're on 3rd and 9. Zone pass, getting caught early, breaks a tackle, 79 still rumbling, pulled down. What looks to be about a 3-yard gain. We're now on 4th and 6. The expectation here would be for them to punt it. Teams are unwilling to take a risk this early in the half. I think Raiders have come out with a strong defensive game plan, being able to identify what's happening in the punt. In the offensive formations. Be interesting to see this punt formation. We've got a lone gunner on the outside. Big kick down the sidelines, recovered live.
They've called it dead. It looks like there might have been a false start there on the Rebels. So we'll see what the refs call here.
Line judge calling that in. So we're going to see what call it is.
With false start. Number 44
False
on the
start
offense.
on the offense now
5
puts
yards.
it back
Repeat,
to be
4th down.
4th and 11. Obviously a similar punt formation that we're going to see here. 2 wide gunners, plenty of defenders if they're going to go and try and shake it. You're not allowed to hit the kicker and or the snapper at this point. So another punt, deeper downfield. Recovered well. Looking to see what we're getting here. A contact's made but shaken. Still maintaining field and then fighting back across the formation. Tackled by number
4 for the Rebels there. So that was a great run by Serica, great catch on the full. She's very quick, very light on her feet, so the Rebels have done a good job there to bring her down without getting too many yards there.
You can see here, big step to the outside, missed the original, or dodged the original tackle, thrown, and then coming back into contact with number 4 here. Great tackle to be able to bring her down and not allow her to cross the field. There's a lot of risk as people start to cross back as a broken play to be able to see a touchdown occur on special teams. It's been something that I think is fairly consistent across the league this year.
Yeah, we've seen Rebels run quite a few touchdowns back from punts and kickoffs as well, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do here.
Fun formation here, looking at a wishbone, tightening it down, expecting an outside run here based on the formation. We're going to be able to hand it off inside, no change whatsoever, rumbling and stumbling. Number
54, that's Grace there. Makes a great run up the middle, and that's a 1st down, the Raiders.
It was interesting, the last minute shift creates some complexities with the defence, so they expect them to go further outside, but then they baited that and went in.
They're coming back in again for the same formation.
Back into the 3-back formation. got some depth there. They're expecting for him to go downfield, going straight down. Pass play on the fades, deep over the middle, uncovered.
Sophie, that's a brilliant catch in the middle there. Great pass, great catch. Way to make some space up the middle of the field there. And the Raiders seem to be rolling down the field, making yards quite easily at the moment.
I think that's one of the problems when you start to look at these formations and change-ups is that with 3 backs in the backfield, the defence is looking for run, they're expecting run. If their eyes aren't disciplined, they are going to get caught on those deeper passes. Still back to this, 2 wide out, looking for a pass again, quick slant. Is it open? Nearly intercepted by number 14.
Very close to an intercept there. That's perhaps shouldn't have thrown that pass into double coverage there, but got lucky in the end there.
I think pre-reads are really big. They've already made a decision on this. You can see this touch pass over the top. It's a great play. And number 3?
Number 8, Beck Gordon, right there with the tackle. And again, we've got a quarterback keep here. She's got 2 options there.
Quarterback keep. They've even tricked the cameraman. They're out to the sideline. Tackled down short, a yard short. It's all right. We can follow the action with everyone here. Great read to keep it, well hidden on the option. That was a triple option for all intents and purposes for everyone who's seen that. If anyone's watched Remember the Titans, you're watching that offense in action.
And just to point out to the folks at home that may not be so up to speed with Gridiron, the ball is spotted where the ball is when some part of the body other than the feet or the hand hits the ground. So if the quarterback's knee hits the ground there, the ball is spotted wherever the ball is at the time the knee hits the ground.
Under centre, this will be a quick run. QB sneak, pushing behind the big O-line. And touchdown for UNSW Raiders. Scored by number 9, their quarterback.
Yeah, that's Bim Jensen from Germany, who's come all the way over here. So that's a brilliant run. I know Rebels run that play as well. So that's great for the Raiders to get that push up the middle and get the quarterback over for the first touchdown.
You do see that in a lot of the short yardage situations where they're really just going to try and go for it. If you have a strong offensive line and you back your players, they're also starting to see more with running backs getting in and pushing the pile, which is something that we haven't seen previously.
We've got the 2-point conversion here. Let's see how they line up and what they're going to run here. Send their receivers out wide again. Back into that same formation they've been running.
This wishbone formation is particularly interesting because you can see a lot of short yardage situations. Zone read, just run straight in.
That's very well done. Great blocking by the offensive line to open up that gap there. The 2-point conversion.
4-5-5.
It will be one of the interesting elements of this game is the way heat and fatigue plays into it as we go into the second half. You know, on the big offensive lines and the ones that are really strong, fatigue does start to play an issue the longer the game goes on. And it's clear that Dane's prepared some of this preemptively, knowing what he's going to be looking at early. I think based on the way both offenses perform, it can end up being a shootout. And there's a real impetus now on the Rebels having to answer back. I think if you start to get into 2 and 3 score games, there's a real disparity around being able to recover. And I understand that the game allows it, but mentally that becomes fatigue in itself to know that the team's up by a certain number of points.
Also on a mental point of view, both previous games this season between those 2 clubs are very low scoring. So for the Raiders to come out in that first drive and put some points on the board, that really sends a message they're out here to play and sort of forces the Rebels to come back and try and match them.
You can see here this great run by the QB and a good decision here, and I think we'll go into the sneak, and it was just a lot of push and prep by the O-line there. So we're seeing another kickoff, consistency and preparation here. Looks the same every single time. Kick down the sidelines. It looks like we've got an open lane. She's cutting back into the main part of the field, taken down again by number 54. She does everything.
Yep, that's Tegan with the ball and a great run, bringing Rebels almost back to halfway to start this drive. All right, offense coming onto the field here for the Rebels. They're all calling plays from the sideline, so if you notice them all looking at their wrists, so they've got a wrist coach there, so they'll have a list of the plays. The coaches will call a play from the sideline, so you'll know what they're doing, saving a huddle and saving some time.
So into 2x2, watching the defense maintain it. It's a zone to the outside, pull the guard, forgive me, power, hustling forward. So probably about an 7 yard gain there, which is incredibly well done by the Rebels.
It is. Tegan Chandler, another good run up the middle there. She's a great player. Has been in the league for a few years now and just very hard to stop when she gets going.
And the number 50 for the Raiders, Grace, was the lady who had made consistent tackles and also managed to run in there. So back to spread again, 2 by 2. High snap, zone read to the outside, making a play, defensive end, tackled. That is a first down. Looks to be close to a 9-yard gain, moving the chains. You can see that for the people watching at home, that the down markers is what we're using to identify whether or not the team can move down the field. So they have 4 attempts to make 10 yards. If they're on their side of the field, they tend to punt on 4th down. I think as they're moving into the danger zone for the Raiders, you'll see a consistent attempt on 4th down. Got a motion to the boundary side, zooms back out, waiting to see a pass off this at the moment. Should be open deeper downfield. Nice tight pass, underthrown to number 6.
That's Kat there. Very nice route. Unfortunately, the ball just a little bit behind her. But Rebels do like running that play, motioning in and then bringing the motion straight back out for an outside route.
I think you've played most positions at some point, Emma. Is there something that you think you'd see that would be particularly, strenuous for the QB in this situation? How does it feel?
Raiders specifically run a Rio defense, so they play 3-on-2 on the outside. So in this formation, they'll have man on the outside receiver and then play against the 2 inside, receiving the inside receiver. So that route really messes with the
3 receivers to the field. We're looking at a QB lead here. Power pull by the guard. Short gain. It will be 3rd and 7 by the looks of it. Number 12 trying to get something open, but some confusion by the guard pulling to the outside.
So this number 6 Kat has come off. Seems to be a shoulder issue, which is not good. She's a very strong player for the Rebels. Number 84 comes onto the field to replace her. We've got number 88, Tamika, on the outside. She's a nice tall target out there on the 3rd down where they need to convert this to keep going.
Seeing back to the boundary, trips to the field. We look like it's going to be a pass. It's deep down there. Pass to open. I think it's going to be short, but my presumption will be that they are going to go for it on 4th down. Marked.
There's a flag on the field here, Mitch. It seems to be on the Rebels as well.
Holding is what you'd expect it to be. It's going to move back 10 yards. This is an even trickier position because while they were originally on 4th and short or 4th and 1. What we're looking at now is an effectively, I guess, 3rd and 13. So a deeper pass to be able to handle this. Looks like we'll have to go to a deep pass again for them to try and recover this. Waiting to see what they can. Raiders not giving up anything, really just taking their time. They've got a sprint out by the QB, deep throw over the top. It's a huge catch by number 88.
That's Tamika Sutton. That's a huge catch by her. She's played state this year and she's also represented Australia in flag football. And from that move there, that's a great route. That's a fantastic catch under a lot of pressure right there.
It's not often that a DB maintains that type of coverage and then the ball's still caught. So you can see here, deep pass over the top, rolled out, great ball placement on the run. 2 receivers really close together. It's a hard thing. Trips to the other side of the field, going back to their running game, counter to the other side, wide run, avoided the tackle.
Just unfortunately couldn't make a run up the sideline there. A little bit too close to the sideline, getting around that tackle.
Well covered by the defence to spill it out to the sideline and not allow for any major gain. Looks like we're going to be 2nd and 8.
Looks like Rebels are going back into the double twins formation. 1 running back next to the quarterback.
The uncovered number 2 receiver is interesting. Looks like we're getting a high snap again. A lot of pressure. Wide side run inside. Looks like they're going to make it into the touchdown.
And that's Tegan Chandler, who's had some great runs today, some great kick returns to set up this drive. So that's good reward for all the hard work she's put in to get that touchdown and get the Rebels on the board.
It was a great run there. Forced to bounce back inside as they were making some moves on the defence. Going in for the 2-point. We'll see a quick replay. Perhaps, maybe not. Nope, getting set. This is the 2-point conversion. Going back to the outside. QB keep shut down by number 11. Throw over the top and caught. Completely unplanned play. Great great catch by number 88, and that's the thing that you get when you have a QB who can make some magic happen.
That's great recovery from quarterback Casey Cubis there, just being able to keep that ball alive under pressure, and also great work from Tamika Sutton to make herself free in that box in the end zone.
You can see this run here that's bounced back inside, incredibly well covered by the defense, but just not enough to be able to stop it. But you can see here on the 2-point, this is an incredible decision. Gets caught up by number 11. Eyes get downfield, manages to plant and throw and get open with number 88. That's a play for the books.
That's a great comeback route there. Make yourself available.
It's one of the things that receivers do get taught to do, is try and make sure that they're able to get open if there is a broken play, if the QB is under it. I don't think this is going to be a barn burner anytime today, though. It looks like we're going to go backwards and forwards.
Absolutely. Good response for the Rebels to get down the field there. Now we're kicking off into the start of the second quarter.
Fielded well on the bounce, fumbled at the line. This means they're going to be in a lot less space to be able to get a run. Still coming back out to the side of the field. If they don't make a tackle here, it's going to be incredibly dangerous. Held up at the 38-yard line.
It's a great run, but some even better blocks by the Raiders there. Some great calling by the returner to point out some defenders that they need to block, and great response by her teammates providing her that room.
Special teams is going to be incredibly critical as we start to talk about field position if we're shooting backwards and forwards. There is a... Oh no, kicking tee's been moved off the field.
So Raiders back in that same wishbone formation to start this second drive.
Expecting this same thing. QB keep out to the outside. Cameraman's on it. Pitch to the wide side of the field. Well tackled. Option game is going to be incredibly important as we move forward. Number 44 making a huge play there.
That's Riley, number 44. Another one that played state at the start of the year in the 3-game series against Queensland. So played an absolute blinder in all of those games. So it's good to see her translate that into club football.
I think it was a real elite decision-making capability there by the Q to be able to make a decision to move it.
It's a very good tough run up the middle there by number 54. That's Grace again. She seems very involved out of that wishbone formation. Typically a fullback run, so typically a blocker out of that formation, but good to see some trick plays and getting her the ball as well, just to mix things up and keep the defense guessing.
I think they're seeing a lot of success with his wishbone formation at the moment. I don't expect Dane to move out of it. He's going to take what he can get. We've seen the Rebels change their front now to try and talk about it. Zoned to the outside. 54 running downfield. Great movement by the defense there. I think they actually thought they made the tackle. There was an expectation that QB had kept it, and then it was already out. So some of the D-line getting bamboozled there in the scheme of things. You can see they thought they had it. Broke one tackle, broke another arm tackle, and then brought down really well by number 8.
That's a great low tackle there by Beck Gordon. Very fast, very quick to the ball, Beck is. Very responsive, and that's her job there as safety, to float in the backfield and get to that ball.
Expecting an inside here. We might even see some play action. Sprint out, we're expecting it. QB kept. Number 13 bringing it down.
That's Frenchie, one of the Rebels' captains.
I think
real
she was also
leader on
the
the field.
MVP of the Opal Bowl last year, if I remember correctly.
I do believe that, yes. A great player, great communicator on the field, just all-around nice
like
person.
We've got a minor injury on the field. Coach is coming in. One of the rules that they do have at this point in time is the coaches are only allowed to go out to the numbers on the field, if we can see that. So there's some pain in the leg there from the Raiders player. What we are seeing is that the teams are moving off the field to give them space to try and resolve that.
I didn't quite catch a number there, but I believe that's the quarterback that's down there at the moment, Mitch. We'll wait and see if we can get a visual on that.
Oh, it does look like there's a bit of a bend there on a leg, and then the pain associated with that. You can see there's an immediate recognition. This is a risk that we do see with running quarterbacks broadly in our leagues, is that, you know, they are a vital player. You do need them to be able to threaten the run. Putting them consistently in a running position and risking their injury now may mean that there's options associated with his offense that he has to consider. I think, you know, Dane's no spring chicken in the scheme of things. He knows what he needs to do. He's been around plenty of times before, so I'm sure he'll have a backup plan if this proves that she's out of the game for a period of time.
I'm sure he will, but interesting to note that the backup quarterback, Alex Barker, who's also played a lot of starting quarterback this year as well, started the season before Bim arrived, and then they've been trading the job off since. She's not playing today, so it'll be interesting to see who the backup quarterback option is today. I believe they've got a few. Haley has played quarterback for a few times, and they've also got Beck Bolden, who can also play quarterback as well. So interesting to see who they roll out here. Just to note, for those who might not follow the league, if a player does go down injured and it requires a timeout, they do have to go off the field for a play. So there'll be at least one play where we need to replace the quarterback.
I think there'll be an interesting decision then made that you see coaches be pretty conservative in the scheme of things on those. So, they'll hand it off to one of their running backs. They'll make an easy decision for whoever's going in. The mental prep that's required to be able to get a QB on and off the field and all the game work done in advance is going to be one of those challenges that you have.
It is. It's a very full-on position in quarterback. You have to know all the plays, know where everyone's going, how to hand off to your running, where your receivers like to run on the field. Just a very, very in-depth position. So it'll be interesting here to see how Raiders handle this.
Looking at the way that injury actually came into it, it may be a syndesmosis injury, which is one of those fibrous joints in the high ankle. And, high ankle injuries are quite common in the scheme of things. So it's making sure that we're able to support her getting on and off the field and giving the team the opportunity to try and identify what the problem is. You can see some medics on the ground there looking at what's happened and what's going through there.
So looking at, it might even be the Rebels physio that has gone out there as well, which is some good sportsmanship that we like to see. That's pretty strong throughout this league, actually.
It's and there is I'd say a camaraderie amongst the women's teams that I think is incredibly amicable around making sure that everyone's supported. And with the league growing again this year, especially with smaller teams, you can often see a lot of work put together. I know Raiders and the Rebels have the biggest teams in the league, and they're obviously looking to always try and support one another and the rest of the people.
Absolutely, and we've seen that through a few games this year, where they've offered their support staff to help out teams that are got a few less resources. So that's great to see, and it's one of the ways we can help build the game. Just keep that sportsmanship. It's one of our big selling points on this game. Just the teamwork and the camaraderie that we do have amongst the players and the coaches.
I know in coaching men's teams, there's often a view around the mental prep that goes in to be prepared in a game, and some of them use visualization, like thinking that a god of war and going out to battle. And do you see that in yourself? Like, do you as a female group have a goddesses of war type approach? Are you Athena, or what helps you get mentally ready to be able to get on the field?
There is a bit of that. Obviously, it's a tough sport. Going out there, making contact. I feel in the women's game it's a lot more teamwork, team support based. I feel there's a lot more go out and do your best for your sisters out there on the field, build your team up together, roll out, stick together as a team, and that's what we've got. It was interesting, the first time I played state, one of the coaches was going through trying to sort of reinforce some stalk blocking to us, and the way he used to teach men's was to go out there and just fight, aggro, get into there and really attack this player. But what he found out with the women's was actually what worked a little bit better was go out there and protect your teammates. Do your job for the team. So I feel like it's a lot more of a team-based environment than sort of a go out and attack, but sort of protect, nurture, and build your team up together rather than an individual basis.
That balance between love and hate is something that I think a lot of players have to focus on. Just while we're waiting for them to clear the field, where did you play this year, Emma? Tell us about your team.
Played at Nepean Ducks this year. So Nepean Ducks first had a women's team back in 2019. Unfortunately, through COVID, unable to get a team together, so they folded for a few years. But managed to get a team back on the field this year, which was quite an achievement, and kept the league at 5 teams. So a little bit short-handed in terms of players and coaches. So we were a player-coached team this year, which put a little bit of pressure on us in the field. But to us, our game was to get out there and to just keep going, to make every game, do the best we could, and grow the game. And I think we did that pretty well despite some score lines. It's just about building the game, getting some representation. So there's a lot of players, there's a lot of growth area out in the West. It's important to have a team out there, and hopefully we can draw in some more players for next season and keep building towards becoming a team that compete with the Rebels and the Raiders in a game like this.
So the Nepean area is sort of from Parramatta west. Is that where you're collecting your players from at the moment?
Yeah, sort of all around. So we have a few down from Liverpool, mostly around the Penrith area, up to sort of the Hawkesbury, Richmond, Windsor area is our basis. But we're also competing with the Western Sydney Pirates, who is down sort of the southwest area.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So 2 teams in the west. That's incredibly exciting for the sport.
Yeah, 2 strong teams. So hopefully we can keep building that, get a few more players. So both of those teams very short on players this year. So just recruitment's going to be a very important point coming into the next few seasons to keep those teams alive and growing.
All right, so Raiders have broken the huddle. New QB in. Who are we seeing here?
Can't quite see a number there, Mitch.
Spread, false start on the offense, number 44, I believe. We'll see it on the replay in a second, but they're a little bit excited to get ahead.
And that's number 18 there that's gone into quarterback for the Raiders.
We have false start. Number 16 on the offense.
Second
down. Replay.
This will be interesting. It's a lot of pressure playing quarterback on a second-year player, so let's see how she handles this. I know with Raiders' system, they'll have her all set up and ready to go, and all the support there that she needs.
Go. So tight end trips to the boundary or trips to the right side of the field. We're going to see a snap here. Handed to the quarterback. Speed option to the outside pitch. That's a fumble. The ball is live.
That's a good recovery there. Originally thought they were going to leave that ball, which would have been open for the Rebels to pick up and take possession of, but good to see that they switched on enough to get onto that ball despite it being a loss of yardage there.
For those watching at home, backwards passes don't fall dead. So if you pass forward in this league, obviously if the ball falls on the ground, no one can recover it. Because that was a backwards pass there, great awareness by number 89 to be able to go and recover that. If 13 from the Rebels had been a little bit faster, it might have been a recovery.
That's very good pressure from number 13, Frenchie, there, though. Number 89 was watching her as the ball came through and maybe just took her eye off the ball for a second there, and that's all it takes to turn a play from something that looked like she had a lot of space out there on the sideline to a loss of yardage there.
So I believe that's quarter now. I don't know what's happening. I thought we hit quarter earlier, so we're
That's
looks
interesting.
like we're flipping the field. For those watching at home again, the field flips at the quarter. It's designed to make sure that neither team has an advantage or a disadvantage. And the amount of air that's for or against the ball.
Looking out the famous Manly Hill there, it doesn't look like there's much wind out there at all.
That just looks hot.
Yes.
But look, it's third and what feels like a mile. It's like a salmon trying to migrate home for the spring to get to a first down here. Seeing the run by the Q, plenty of space, but shut down early by the Rebels. Looks like this is going to be fourth and long. They're in an interesting position here because of the position on the field as to whether or not they choose to try and punt it and keep them inside, I guess, the 10-yard line, or whether they're looking to try and go for it. Looking at the switching out of the teams here, it would appear that they are going to attempt to punt it and pin them within their own end zone. The complexity is you have an offense is the longer the field, the more you need to do to try and drive it. So success rates for full field drives are quite low. Seeing a punt here, roll out, potential trick play, interception, running down the sidelines, gone backwards. Huge change for the Rebels there. That is a momentum shift by number 99.
That is an absolutely huge play there. So they've gone out for the fake punt and the pass, and number 99 didn't fall from it. Took that play quite easily and got quite a few yards to really turn this field around. Disciplined
play here. You can see she's rolling out, looking high ball from the beginning, intercepted when she expected to be able to get through. Huge difference. I appreciate the hustle and look, great decision there to try and strip the ball out after the transition by the Raiders. I think Rebels have got a little bit of a groove now, seeing that inside zone, power pulling out, counter. We've got a timeout by the Raiders. One of the interesting things we see after a big turnover or things like that is sometimes defenses are put in a position where they're responding immediately to a situation and don't have time to get set. I think the decision for a timeout there is pretty effective to make sure that you don't have a big play after a big play. It's one of the stats that coaches use effectively to try and understand what their offense or defense is doing.
Also just mentally, just to give the Raiders a chance to calm down and put that last play behind them and keep focus on the game and what they need to achieve here.
I think shooter's got to shoot, though. I appreciate a cheeky trick play, and we did mention that at the beginning when we were speaking around the idea that they're going to have some tricks up their sleeves, and this is the point in the year where you've got to use them. They would have practiced it all year. They would have been prepared. Unfortunately, or fortunately for the Rebels, unfortunately for the Raiders, they stayed disciplined and did what they needed to do to be able to shut that down and not give it up.
Very much so, and let's see how the Raiders respond to this. Hopefully they can keep their heads high and go in and try and get that turnover back.
I think we're going to expect a fairly big push from the Rebels here to try and get ahead. You'll see their offensive line really start to try and push through some of these defensive linemen and looking at pulling the guard. It's something that they're doing at the moment is they're getting one of their offensive linemen to leave their person, run around to the other side, and then the running backs chasing or running off the back of that. It's a really good way to create a momentum shift on the defensive line when there's things like that they're unable to account for. We're seeing this. It's trips to the field or trips to the wide side. You've got high snap recovery. Recovered by number 5. Broken play, open field, trying to run back through. She's got to, oh my goodness. This is the danger. Complete recovery by number 5. Open field, cut back inside, dives over the line.
What a recovery there from Tegan Chandler. From the ball, it looked like it was going to be challenged to pick back up. And a huge yardage loss to turn that into a touchdown. That's an incredible run right there.
The highs and lows of football. I think you can see the jubilation and the terror in the coach's eyes when you see a snap like that. It was unexpected, well over the QB's head. Decision by the running back not to fall dead on it, but trust what she can do. Dodges 1, dodges 2, dodges 3, running ahead now, making another cut, gets blocked by number 7, well played, makes a decision to cut back in across the 10 and dives across the line. An incredible run by number 5.
That was great support by number 7 there. We've got a pass attempt on the 2-point conversion. Unfortunately unsuccessful there to that number 7.
Tegan Chandler leading the way there with Liz making sure that she was there to protect her and get her through. It was a critical block there to make sure that they did convert that really early. 14-8, we're now in the second quarter. The focus by the running back here to maintain their feet, cut back and against the flow. Speed and vision here, great block by 7, making sure she can isolate it out, continuing to run downfield and being able to assist. I actually think 7's got a bit of a hit there, Liz, by being able to say that she pushed her over the line. That's what I'd be saying anyway.
I did notice that, so you can take some credit for that. Obviously, she needs some credit for the good blocking as well. So, in rugby league, they would call that a try assist, so I think we can safely call that a touchdown assist.
There we go. If only we kept the stats like that in this sport, it would be something I'd hang on by.
Absolutely.
I think the O-line would have a lot of try assists, so that's always a touchdown assist.
100%.
But well-disciplined kickoff here, down into the middle of the field, across the ground, trying to prevent anyone from getting out, looking to cut back across to the wider side, looking at some good blocking there, shut down a little bit over the 40-yard line. Great return.
There was some nice blocking in the middle there, gave her about 10 more yards up the middle there from where she first got the ball and ran into that scrum of players. So Raiders offense coming back on the field now. Let's see how they can respond. Bit of a setback, first with the fake punt turnover and then the touchdown. So a lot of pressure on them to see how they respond to that.
I think it's important now for the Raiders to try and take control back of the game. There was a gap there where they were making a couple of decisions and it hasn't gone their way. I think we've got a new quarterback in, what appears to be number 44.
So that's Beck Baldwin. She has played quarterback before. She's played in league.
That's a pitch to the outside and a fumble. They're looking to take some risks here. I think there's an inherent risk when we start to play in these positions that bad decisions are made. I think Dan will be trying to calm his team down. They're not in a bad position by any means. I think the offload there, like Tommy Turbo, is something that everyone should aspire to do. You can see that and recovered well by the Raiders. See, under centre here, looks like it's going to be inside, handed off, and it's a big run. It's well covered. I'll be interested to see where the spot is here.
She did look like she landed on her Rebels player, which means she didn't touch the ground, so we could get a few more yards than it initially looked like here, Mitch.
I'm waiting to see. So it is 3rd and short. Expect another big inside run here by number 54, Grace.
Yes, this would be a good play for that, straight up the middle, or do they fake her and sell it to the Rebels and run wide?
We're going to get a timeout by the Rebels. Good adjustment here, I think. This is a big down for them. They're going to make sure they're mentally set and what to look for. The triple option that the Raiders run is particularly dangerous in these short yardage situations because there's so much discipline required to be able to stop it. So the Rebels need to keep enough people on the inside to be able to defend the immediate run. You've got the immediate sprint out by the quarterback that needs a player onto it, and then you need the pitch that needs a player onto it. It requires a level of defence that really stretches the capabilities of even seasoned players. So I think there's definitely an element here that we're going to see something well within their wheelhouse and just looking for playing their base and being able to get across the line.
It will be. It'll be interesting to see how Rebels respond here. As a defensive player, it's a lot to read here. You've got to make sure you know who your player is, what your read is, and get down to make that tackle as soon as you can, just to stop them getting that 1 yard.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Rebels break their huddle first and seem to get back into the ball, see how Raiders respond and what sort of play they've got happening here. Back in that wishbone formation for the Raiders.
Officials standing over the ball to make sure that the game doesn't start until they're ready.
Seems like they're having a bit of discussion here.
Waiting for an official to return to their position. Every official sprinting across the field, which may be a cause for the delay here. The speed dealers make him look really fast as he gets across the field there. Love those sunnies. As expected, big inside run, kept to the outside, pitch and across the field. Waiting to see what we've got here.
Quarterback keep, but they did blow the whistle early in that play, so it'll be interesting to see what the call is.
Ed Blakely is the official making the call. Ed's 85, Emma, and this is his last game in GNSW as an official. He's contributed for many years.
It's incredible. Ed's been around since I started playing, some 7-8 years ago.
I think Ed's been around for a long time before that, but yeah, 100%.
He's a character. He's always someone you see on the sideline and you identify very quickly. So he's done a great service to this game over his entire career. What
you can see there is an inadvertent whistle that's now been waved off by the officials, which means that play is run again. So I think you're going to see an easy way. 54 easily made the first down. The QB was across the line of scrimmage. This is a dangerous position to be in. I think we're looking at it, and that's straight across the field. It has broken the line of scrimmage, but it'll depend on where.
We do have a flag in the backfield there between number 33 of the Raiders and number 22 of the Rebels. So it'll be interesting to see what this call is. They've gone in to talk to the white hat, so they'll make a call on what happens here. That appeared to be converted. This could be a big flag in terms of the game.
We have holding. Number 22 on the Rebels.
Defensive holding, which isn't something we see a lot of.
No, it's a very rare call, but that gives the Raiders the first down regardless. So interesting outcome there in terms of the Raiders keeping their drive going down the field.
I think discipline is going to be really important at this point to try and make sure that we're not missing anything. You can see, I don't know whether we're going to be able to see the hold, but the Rebels defence hustled to try and stop the drive. I'm not sure what happened on the backside there as we'd zoomed in on it. Back into the wishbone formation, new QB again, making sure that they're going to be able to maintain it. Inside zone, QB keep to the outside, pitch to the wide side of the field. I don't know what we're hearing a whistle for there.
Just seems to be running out of bounds, and they've called the whistle there.
Second down, that's still an incredible gain on the triple option here.
It's a 6-yard gain, which is a great run, especially on a first down. Makes your second and third down a lot less pressure on them. Opens up your playbook a little bit more as well.
Number 44, Becky, is actually a senior player in the league. It's her 10th season. She was part of the UTS team that won the Opal Bowl many years ago now. She actually had a broken wrist in that game and was unable to play, so this is her first appearance in an Opal Bowl. She's also been a head coach, and fun fact, 4 ACL surgeries in the scheme of things.
One of the toughest players in our league to keep coming back from that. Is mainly a defensive player these days, and she's come back from that, but interesting to see her back in quarterback where she started her career at UTS.
She has hydraulic knees at this point. You're seeing keep to the outside, pitch, great pitch and read, down the sideline, incredible tackle, running over a corner. Number 8 having to deal with a running back hit there.
Yeah, that's A2 Serica that made that great run from the outside, very elusive, so good to see her getting out in some open space. She cuts up that outside, she's going to be very, very dangerous.
And she's a proud First Nations player and was the first Australian woman, First Nations Australian woman to score a TD in the Women's National Football Conference in the USA. So incredibly good.
We've got a few players that have played over in the American National Football Conference. I think there's 3 or 4 of the team that went over and played in Mississippi. Serica went over, I don't remember exactly where she went over. She played at a separate team as well. And Alia, number 15 from Rebels, has been over there as well. So great to see the league expanding. In getting the skills from the overseas league and bringing that back to our league and helping build up our league as well. Hopefully see a few more players go over there in the next few years too.
One of my favourite things is to always look at the sunglasses that all the different coaches have, and you can see there, you know, Tommy's gone with some conventional black shades, and Red Hahn, who's been an incredible player for the Raiders historically, has got the speed dealers ready to go, and we've gone back to conventional glasses. I think coach glasses and coach hats are a distinguished feature. You can see here Chris going with the conventional shades that are appropriate for both icebergs in Bondi and the playing field.
Is there a psychological approach to the sunglasses, do you reckon, Mitch?
I just think it's better that players can't see the tears in your eyes when they do things wrong. That's my general go to it.
That's fair, that's a very strong point. Keep the emotion hidden behind the sunglasses. Just about to break out of this timeout here. It was called by the Rebels. Officials also having a chat just about what they're seeing. There could be some, just a few little questions about maybe players have raised to them as well that they need to keep an eye on, some concerns, or there might be some issues that some of the other refs are noting that needs to be a responsibility of another ref, or they could just be reviewing how the game's going, how the time's going as well.
I just received a piece of anecdotal information that was that UTS actually won the game using the wishbone because Beck was injured as a quarterback. So how times have turned. We're full circle 10 years later. Football is a cyclic game.
Yep. Formations, plays tend to come and go like fads, tend to sweep across the league too. Teams see what works and tend to apply that, and as you make new plays, they tend to get picked up across the league.
Back in the wishbone, going into the second part, you can see inside zone, kept to the QB. They've got space to the outside. No one was there to cover. Tackled in the end zone. Unsure what's happening here.
Serica Shillingsworth, that was a great run on the outside. As I said before, she's great in open space, so getting her that space up the sideline, running that out the wide side of the field, that was a good play call there from Coach Dane.
This 2-point conversion is going to be critical to see who's in a position to lead going into the half. Depending on who's going to receive in the second half is also critical, as it'll be able to maintain that tempo and movement.
Well, that's interesting when you're talking about the coin toss at the start of the game and electing to receive the ball. With a lot of teams do defer that and elect to receive the ball at the start of the second half, with the aim to score right before the half time and then get the ball back to start the second half.
Double tight wishbone, looks like it's going to be an inside handoff, speed to the outside pitch, no triple option discipline, and extension across the field by number 82.
That's Erica again, number 82. They're doing quite well with that play. The Rebels don't seem to have too much of an answer for it right now. And I know Raiders, if that play is working, they're going to stick with that quite a lot. So
expect to see that out on the second drive. We did have a hypothesis that it is going to be a shootout. I think the expectation will be that the Rebels now try and drive the field. There's a clock management consideration. They're going to have to look at making sure they get out of bounds, don't let the clock roll, ensure that they can manage the time they do have left to try and put points on the field, because without that, they will be problematic in trying to achieve those outcomes. Again, you never count it out. Special teams is a big one. I know the team's been well disciplined on both sides of the ball. We can see how quickly things can get busted snap to a 60-yard touchdown.
And exactly the same with kickoffs as well. Kick return, all you need is one good block and a little bit of space, and the next thing you're scoring. So important for the Rebels here to get some yards, but also important for the Raiders to make sure they hold their composure and keep the Rebels out here and sort of restrict their return distance.
I think it'll be really good. I expect some intense coverage by the kick team here. Birds of prey sweeping in to try and to nail the returner. This is a recovery on the full, touchback, making a decision by the ball carrier here. It's going to be hard. They may not be disciplined to do this, choosing to run it out regardless. Opportunity for a big play. Number 11 dodging one tackle, but pulled in based on forward momentum. They'll be 2 or 3 yards out of the goal line. Bad football decision there, unfortunately, by a player. Number 11 wasn't aware that they don't actually have to bring it out of the end zone if they choose to contest it. They can just let it play dead, and they didn't have to recover it at all.
It would have been much smarter to take a knee there and take the ball and get the ball from the 20-yard line. If the ball does go dead in the end zone from a kickoff, it would have been a much smarter decision.
Great tackle there by number 58, absolute harlequin coming in off the edge, making sure that we were able to close that out.
Number 58, Princess Mailu there, that's a great tackle and way to set her team up in some good field position and put a lot of pressure on the Rebels. And then with the quarterback keep here, running out of the end zone.
Having to make sure they cut up field. They're going to get forward momentum, but that's going to be
only a couple of yards. It's not going to be a lot different from where they snapped the ball to start with there. Might be good just get a couple of safe runs up the middle, get as much yardage as they can, and then dump the ball and try and get some field position back here. It looks like Rebels have taken a timeout to discuss what they're going to do. Coach Blake coming over to them.
It's an interesting decision to make here with the time left in the half and the way in which they're approaching it. There's a consideration to whether or not they're really just looking to try and get out and not be too far behind. They're in such a dangerous position offensively. The expectation will be that defense will bring some pressure. They're really going to try and put them behind. If they are tackled in their own end zone, it's going to be a 2-point change as well, which will put Rebels and 14 and Raiders at 18, which is going to be another step that we then have to start to talk about point differential as you get into the beginning of the second half.
Exactly, they've been matching touchdown to touchdown so far, but it's the 2-point conversions that seem like they're going to be very important to this game. So this additional safety, if they can get that tackle in the end zone for Raiders, that will be very important, 2 points.
I think you can see Blake trying to encourage his team to be patient and disciplined here and make sure that they make good decisions. And even watching Dane talk about it, it looks like they're saying just play fundamental football. You don't have to do anything too big. You just have to do what we've done already, and we're going to be in a good position.
This is a point in the field where you don't need to be spectacular. You just need to do your job and do it well.
Expect a blitz to come here, and that's a fumble critical thing, and that looks like it's going to be a safety. something that we were well concerned about.
Just the high snap there didn't leave the quarterback and the running back there, not a lot of options. So they've done well to recover that ball and prevent a touchdown from the Raiders. But that has put them into a safety and given up 2 points.
You get that on the big jobs, which is a position that Blake didn't want to be in coming out of or at least with the 2-minute drive to try and finish the half. You can see here, high snap, they're rushing to try and get it recovered. It's important that it is tackled or kicked out of the end zone by the offense, because if it's recovered by the defense, it is a touchdown, it's no longer a safety. 58 again playing another big role there in being able to shut down the play.
Raiders players, as soon as that snap went high, they just all gunned it into the backfield, all on blitzes, and try and get that pressure there, which is really good to see. Very keen, and they know what they need to do.
Kick-off here, sometimes with a safety, they're offered the opportunity to punt it and not kick off the ground, which is something that we've seen a little bit more of in our season.
It's interesting, I've only ever seen this as a drop kick, not an actual kickoff. So interesting choice here. A short kick, very close to the sideline, which is very risky, but recovered by the Raiders. He's going to stop short of going out on that sideline anyway.
Number 89 for the recovery.
Bianca Shakira, some good work there to get on the ball and not take the risk of letting it go out and potentially stopping and having a Rebels recovery.
It's a challenging position. The Raiders have been able to move the ball fairly effectively at this moment in time, so understanding that they're now within scoring distance, they're at the 46-yard line going out of their half. I think they're well within striking distance to make this a 2-score game. Into the wishbone again, looking at to be led by Beck here. Handoff inside, big run by 54, brought down with still a 5-yard gain. The challenge is going to be that getting pushed off the ball like this and not being able to pursue is incredibly difficult. It's never over till it's over by any means, but the Rebels at the half are going to need to find a way to try and shut down this, flattening it out and making sure there's someone there to be able to stop it if they're getting pushed off the line so much. It's a big run to the outside, well tackled by 99 there, especially against a bigger back. It will be challenging to see if they can maintain the momentum. This is an incredibly physical offense. They're required to do an incredible amount of running, pushing and fighting to get downs, and it's a slower offense, so you don't see rapid scores. You see them grinding down defenses. If they have the ability to maintain this momentum going into the second half and further, I think it'll be a game that's going to be incredibly hard to come back. You see QB running out to the outside, getting a read upfield, making some yards.
Taking a big shot there, but managed to hold on to the ball and still getting that first down by the look of where she landed.
Well into first down territory there. Looking at who made that play, number 99.
Number 99 is Victoria too. So she's been a star in the last few Opal Bowls. She's very deadly with the ball, very, very hard to bring down. So interesting to see if Blake puts her back on offense this year as well, or keep her there on defense.
You can see here speed to the outside. Pitch was open, but she made a read and a decision to go upfield and get the first down. It was a great hit. Seeing another bumble and stumble and run in here. People trying to strip the ball out. They're just grinding this down as they start to loom towards the second half.
That is it. They're just mixing up that play option out of that triple option. The keep, the run up the middle, or the speed option on the outside. It's doing quite well for them, so I don't expect them to change anytime soon.
You can see a bit of fatigue starting to set in here. They're slower and they're taking their time. Run inside, shut down by the Rebels defense, and this is the risk. You do start to see them start to get tired. Slower to get up, slower to move through this process. it's definitely a physical offense. We are seeing a player down at the moment, hopefully not through injury, just making sure that they're able to do that. See the focus on the sideline there. I don't believe anything happened. It was just the habit of being in this position and trying to dodge it, and then the tackle itself doesn't look like anything too bad was occurring.
It looks like Mary up the middle there on that D-line making the stop on that play, so finally getting a read on that, which is good to see. Rebels starting to read that and learn what they're doing, making some stops on that play. Just might have been a bit of pressure on the back of the neck as the player goes down there with the ball. She's up off the field now, so that's always good to see. That's a very good sign. Hate to see anyone down injured of any sort.
Clearing the field now. 2 minutes and 8 seconds left. There may be a little bit of discrepancy on the clock there as we do see some mix from the field and what we're keeping here in the booth. Still out in the wishbone. I think the philosophy of if it's not broke, don't fix it is holding pretty well in these circumstances.
That's very much Dane's philosophy too. Keep running plays while they're working.
Down position, new fullback in, full start by the offense.
Looked like that fullback just left early then. Just going to push him back a bit, already on second down after that good tackle on first down there to avoid injury.
This is one of the challenges that you do get with the offenses like the wishbone as well, is they sort of refer to it as 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and so while they do have the ability to maintain momentum when they're within the 10-yard, as you start to expand out due to flags or things like this, if they make 3 yards on this, they're not going to be able to convert the first down. Discipline and making sure there's no penalties is incredibly important.
And that's an issue you get with players
so
coming in.
Drop back pass over the middle, going to see if it's open, caught, and we've got a incomplete pass there.
It's an interesting call there for an incomplete pass because she did hold that ball for a little while. So the rest will come in and talk here whether they call that an incomplete pass or a catch and a fumble, which will obviously be a different outcome.
It's already been marked as incomplete. I don't think they're looking to have a discussion on it at all from the white hat point of view. You can see here, if we can get it back, you're seeing a deep throw over the top.
So white hat
one,
just
two,
confirming incomplete
and
pass.
I think that the assertion is that she was never in control of the ball. It was bobbling, the DB popped it out. While she'd made some steps, it was never in her possession.
And that's a big call there for the Raiders.
So 3rd and long, we're back in this position. It should potentially be a passing down, but maybe they're just looking to recover it. Timeout for the Raiders. This is where they'll be looking to try and make a strong decision on what they do. They know they've got 2 attempts. They want to be trying to maintain as much time off the clock as possible. I think what we could look to see is possibly a run here, trying to take their time, burn through the clock, another run just to put them in the worst position possible to try and drive the field. The challenge that you have with the Rebels offense is that they can score from further back. They're not prohibitive in their pursuit of deep touchdowns. They will make long passes. They have the speed to be able to get vertical and make uncontested catches, and I think that's what we're seeing here.
And especially with those long passes and the uncontested catches, what you've got there, it doesn't chew up a lot of clock time. So even if there's not much time back on the clock when the Rebels get the ball back, doesn't mean they don't have the potential to score there. So Raiders need to keep their eye on the ball the whole time.
It's a complex decision to make now as a coach in trying to know what you need to do with clock management. I think coaches have a much larger role to play in Gridiron than they do in other sports. I know in NRL, for example, they sort of wind them up and then set them on the field and they get them around it at halftime and the like, whereas in this sport, Dane's making plays and making decisions around what's going to be run. Blake's making decisions. There's a whole heap of different things that the coaches are intrinsically involved in. As the heat starts to get intense down here on the field as well, we are going to see a different approach. So it'll be a thing around looking at whether or not there's tendencies. I expect that the Raiders are just going to try and get out here. It's not being blown dead, so it is a fumble. but when we've got an incomplete pass call. So I think that we're on 4th and long. It was an interesting decision. One of the problems that you see there with the triple option, especially with a QB who hasn't had to rep it as much as they'd like, and Beck's doing an amazing job at this point in time regardless, but knowing where your running backs are, making sure that you're attacking the field, there's a lot of synchronicity that's required for the team to be effective in these circumstances, and I think that might have just been one of those circumstances where we missed that element in practice, because it was a forward pass and it should always be a backward pass on the triple option.
So it should, and that's one of the issues you've got with backup players coming in, or players further down the roster. So they've got not their first string quarterback or fullback in here, so that's just the timing. A lot of the timing in Gridiron, just it's reps, practicing back and forth like Mitch said, so a little bit disjointed on this drive, but they've been doing well so far, so let's see how they continue. Be interesting call from Dane here on 4th down with the fake punt last time not coming off for them. Whether they continue with the punt this time, whether they go for it, and see how they leave Rebels with the ball. Not much time left before half time.
I love the reaction as well to not panic based on a bad play. I think the Raiders have shown incredible tenacity there in regards to that. I don't think they can take the foot off the gas by any means. I know playing from ahead always makes you a little bit more confident, but the view from everyone is always that it's not over. Points discrepancies in football go pretty quickly, and they're only less than a touchdown away from being successful. So I think, it's incredibly important to be able to understand that.
It is, and both teams have got experienced players, and they'll be telling their teams this as well. Just keep calm out there and keep their heads and not get too carried away if they are in front or behind, which will be very important. Something very strong without our league. We seem to have a few long-term players and a lot of rookies. We just need to keep going and build up those next generation of players to have the same experience.
It's interesting to see here. It looks like it's a different formation. We're in a different position to be successful. And they appear to be punting it. That's interesting decision to try and pin them down. The kick accuracy is going to be incredibly important here.
So similar to the kickoff before, if the punt does go out of the end zone, Rebels will get the ball on the 20-yard line. So we'll see how this bounces, whether it stays in the field of play or not. And that is an absolutely brilliant punt going out at the 1-yard line, which means the Rebels will get to take the ball over from the 1-yard line, make it very hard to come out of their end zone like they did before.
With a minute and a half left, I believe the Rebels have one timeout left. We're looking at a mammoth task to try and drive the field here for any offense, and I think it requires a level of discipline and thought to try and make sure this happens. I'll be interested to see what they pull out. Are they just trying to get out of the second half, or get into the second half without any further points discrepancies? They can't afford to turn the ball over here. We'll expect to see some different things from the defense. Blitzers really trying to make them uncomfortable. Offensive line has got to be disciplined and make sure they pick everything up. Seeing plenty of spread out to the field here, and we're waiting to see what will happen.
Looks like Raiders also have the 4 Dean linemen ready to go and ready to put pressure on the quarterback again like they did last time.
Seeing that here, it's great. Looks like it's going to be just past the line of scrimmage, returning to where they got to.
That was a great run under pressure. The Raiders got into the backfield very quickly then, so it was good to get even those amount of yards that they did.
Clock timing is going to be important here to see when they're trying to manage it. It's clear that they're not in a major rush to try and get out. The Raiders defense is swarming so hard around this. QB keep to the outside, great play. Just gets them out of trouble. I think the view that now they're in a position to get into the second quarter without any major turnovers is particularly important.
100%. Looking by that play, it doesn't look like they're panicking at all. It's taking a nice, safe play. That's a good play to run against all the pressure that the Raiders are bringing, getting them outside that pressure and opening up the outside with that speed option.
Great tackling by the Raiders here, and to get people on board, I think it's a smart decision. You can see that Blake's not looking to try and get out of here. with any particular speed. I think he's just going to let the clock run down on this and then try and get off the field. They're not hustling back to the ball. They're just giving themselves some time. See coaches from the Raiders there and the Raiders faithful just making sure they're there to support. Being aware that the clock on the field may be a little bit different to what we're seeing here in the booth. Pass play, dodging it, deep throw over the middle, caught in stride and dropped.
That's very unfortunate. That was open. Had she managed to keep that ball, it would have been very interesting to see how far she got down the field there. That's very unlucky. Could have really turned this game around a little shorter there.
We mentioned that earlier around the idea that, you know, the Rebels aren't not capable of scoring deep and getting the ball downfield, and this is a really good pass under pressure to be able to put it in the right space where the weakness in the zone is. Unfortunately, a big drop by number 7, but that would have been close to a 20-30 yard gain, which would have changed the way this is doing. I expect them to see it again. We've got a motion on the field, double reverse to the outside. Got some speed and we've got it open. This is a big thing to play. Looking at number 5 again, running down the side of the field, cutting back inside, looking to dodge a tackle. Huge stop.
Huge stop. Missed that
Flag
tackle.
on the play.
There was a touchdown there, so that's incredible. We'll go back and see what this flag is in the backfield that might take it away from the Rebels, unfortunately, because that was a fantastic play.
We have holding.
Holding.
Number 17 on the offense. 10 yards. The play clock is expired.
That's 2 big plays that the Rebels have been able to get going their way, and the time expired on that.
Sorry, 11.
And that's the quarter. All right, well, we'll leave you for the break, and we'll look to get back with you all soon. Thanks for listening.
Oh my.
back again for the commencement of the second half of the Opal Bowl. With 2 minutes to go before the game kicks off, you can see teams doing a brief warm-up. What do you think of the first half so far, Emma?
Very interesting. Good to see it's close like we called. Both teams scoring a lot too, which is good. Put on a great display of the game. Actually, between the running plays, the long pass plays, we had a fake punt. Like, we had a lot of different plays that happened. So good spectacle of a game, but also very tight and very close, which makes it a great final game. As you can see, the players back out in the field. It is very warm, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the second half, whether they can continue that and whether defence can continue to hold some players out. So I think we might see a few more scores coming into that second half.
Yeah, I think it was a reflection of sort of what we predicted. You know, it does end up being a fairly back and forth kind of game. There was some big defensive stands. I think the injury to the Raiders QBs really reduced their play option potential, getting back into a known quantity with a triple option with a couple of different wrinkles on there for play action passes and the like. And look, it appears to be working, so thankfully everyone is able to be across that on their team and continue to make it competitive. Rebels look like they weren't as well prepared for the triple option as they might have needed to be. I don't know whether they expected to see it as much as this. So, you know, grand final games, these things can happen. I think halftime adjustments are always such a big thing in football, so being able to look at what we're able to do as a team in the half and then coming back out to have answers to the problems that you're seeing will really mean, you know, some offences really shut down, some offences really flourish. It's incredibly challenging to see those kind of things. You can see a big touchdown there, really good view from what that looks like, and again looking at a high snap, getting it down and being able to get it out to the running back to make good decisions. I think both of the touchdowns today are from number 5, if that's correct.
Tegan Chandler,
Tegan Chandler showing
a great player. Been in the league a few years now, off and on, so good to see her having a great game.
So we have a formal 2 minutes. You can see the teams standing around, if we cut back to the field at some point, around, you know, trying to get their heads right and prep for the game. This may be some players' last game of football. Often we see players retire off the back of the grand final, so I think watching them take into account why they're there and what they're playing for, and to your point earlier, and not so much being focused on whether they're trying to hurt someone else, but playing for the people next to them, I think is something we're really going to start to see.
That's it, and I reckon that's what both coaches are telling the teams right now. Have a look at each other, go out there, fight for each other and fight for what they want, but just get out there and compete, and this is what it is. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams come out after half time, but they both look very keen and to get out there, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond. It'll be a big determination how this game goes.
I think tempo out of the gate is going to be really important. If we see someone strike early in the half, that it's going to be a real determinant for how the rest of the half is played.
That's true, and with the Raiders losing their starting quarterback, I reckon we're more likely to see a big play, especially a pass play from the Rebels. Quarterback Casey Cubis, she's got a fantastic arm on her, and Rebels receivers have quite the knack of just getting themselves into space downfield.
See the teams returning now. Looking to see both of them take to the field.
Yep. Raiders are out there already. Rebels is just getting ready, putting equipment on, getting ready to head out there.
Looks like Raiders will be receiving for the first half, or second half. Puts them in a strong position to be able to carry their lead forward. They're, for anyone just tuning in, there's a 4-point deficit. 2 safeties, funny enough. Is that correct? We're at 18-14 at the moment. Or did I miss that?
The one safety.
One safety. So they scored an extra 2 points. So 18-14. So a 1 touchdown game. Plenty of time left to play. I think again, understanding. You know, we should see adjustments now on the Rebels defense to be able to counter the triple option that we were seeing previously. And waiting to see what wrinkles the offense for the Raiders have been able to install in the locker room to try and make sure that they're competitive into the second half, so there's no simple adjustments to be able to beat them. Disciplined football is the answer to the triple option, so looking to see what this looks like. Kickoff's about to go in. A shorter kick downfield, trying to expose it, muffed and fumbled, looking to be recovered, tackled early and brought down.
But number 23, that's BK Cullen for the Raiders there, so good recovery to be able to get back on that ball. So for our viewers that are less experienced in gridiron, once that kickoff goes 10 yards, the kicking team are able to recover it. So good of BK to get back on that ball and keep possession for our team.
It'll be interesting to see what the Raiders do coming out now and if they just stick into that triple option or whether they look to do something different.
Looks like Beck Bolden's staying out there as quarterback, so I'm predicting we are going to see a lot of that wishbone moving forward, depending what they've managed to put in at half-time.
Seeing a bigger front from the Rebels here. People have walked down. You can see a 5-man line, so we're obviously looking to shut that down. Safety's playing over the top, being incredibly disciplined on what they're going to get vertically passing. Taking their time. We don't often see a 4-point stance in a fullback, so that's exciting. Inside run, despite the big front, it's still a booming run. 6-yard gain on that. It's a hard adjustment to see from number 54.
Yeah, it's good to see her back on the field. Grace Ulubua too. Great run up the middle. She's found that space even with that 5-man line. It's an incredibly tough run.
It'll be interesting if we can identify sort of what the Achilles heel is for this offense and whether or not the Rebels are able to identify and bring it in.
They've had a whole of half-time to go through this. They've changed their defence accordingly, so it'll be interesting to see.
Another big run to the outside, lost contain, pulled down, but still after making another 7 yards by the big back there.
That's a brilliant tackle. Looks like by number 99 there. Grace had a lot of space on the outside. If she broke that tackle, it looked like she was going to be scoring from where we're looking. So that's a strong tackle and potentially saved her team a touchdown there.
Interesting movement now. 54, who's been carrying a majority of the load on the inside, has now moved out and they've gone into a different fullback.
That'll be interesting to see whether that leads to a pass play or sort of a different option in the speed option.
Speed down the field out of the 4-point stance. We're looking at seeing something different here. You can see that inside zone. It's another big run. They're struggling to stop this. Ball's out and recovered. Ball security is job security, as a great coach in New South Wales will say, Wolf. We'll be interested to see if it was spotted as a result of it.
Looks like the refs are coming together.
They're going to argue that forward momentum was stopped prior to the ball transitioning hands, would be the assumption that we're going to see. It's often a case call, making sure that the umpire and the ref have seen it and spotted it. Having a congregation of decision making over here as to what's going on.
The play had been whistled dead before the ball came out. Second down.
And we see there that they've
Stop
called
it, stop it.
a first down to the
Matt.
Raiders. So it looks like they've managed to recover the ball, or they called forward momentum, had stopped and the play was going backwards when the ball came out.
It's a challenging call because they were still fighting, and it wasn't a lack that she was being pushed back. It was a challenge. So teams have got to wash that. They've got to move quickly. It doesn't really matter once the play's been finished. Seeing the Rebels come out, inside run again, kept by the quarterback, and then they're coming down on it. Great attitude for pursuit. Great play by number 1, being able to come down on the triple option and not get brought in with any of the other QB keeps.
Yeah, that was a great read by Alicia Rowe there, number 1. Just obviously been learning from the first half and recognised that and got down outside very early. It saved a lot of yards again.
See a poor decision by the defensive end there. It looks like the defensive coordinator has really told the ends to just go and sick them and really get after the dive and then force the play to be bounced outside. Means they can get more players on it over the top. It's a simple play system, but it appears to really be working. They've continued to move the field. They're on 3rd and short. This is where the triple option really starts to add value. It's inside zone, pitch to the outside. They're not able to get down and make a play and bring it in. They will bring it in. wasn't brought in short. So it's still a 5-yard gain, which is where, if we're unable to stop that in triple option teams, it does start to become particularly problematic, as they'll get a roll. They'll get a roll and there's no challenges associated with it. So it will be second half adjustments have changed the formation of the Rebels, but not currently their ability to stop the triple option. Getting depth over the top looks like it's incredibly tough.
It does. That's a great run there from Serica as well, just to get the outside. Very tough, very hard to tackle. The four's gone up very high to tackle. We need to tackle down low in that situation, try and bring the player down earlier.
They need to look at trying to get the offense to play from behind. That's one of those complex challenges that you see consistently is in these teams. You have to try and generate some negative plays. You've got to blitz. You've got to be able to stop them from rolling forward.
That's it. They've just let up another big run up the middle there by Grace as well. Something they do need to stop. It looks like the 5-man D-line's not working as well as they originally planned. Just need to get some presence in the backfield, as you were saying.
Negative plays are incredibly detrimental to teams that rely on smaller gains to try and move the field. And one of the problems that Blake will face as a head coach in this situation is that they're burning through the clock. There's no incompletes, there's nothing, there's just a whole lot of balls out. See if the recovery by the Rebels. Ball security there, unfortunately, less than ideal. It can be considered an Achilles heel in some players.
Yeah, that's number 44, Riley Mackay there. It makes the massive turnover. This could really open things up for the Rebels now. Not doing too well defending that wishbone package coming out. This really gives them a chance to go out and make a statement and get back in front on the scoreboard.
I think this is the momentum shift you're talking about as well. And again, if they can pull ahead and keep their offense on and off the field, there's an incredible challenge to be able to play from behind. If the Rebels are able to get up 1 or 2 scores, it's the wishbone does start to show its limitations.
100%.
We're going speed option, QB keep to the boundary side. Great tackle by number 18.
Very low, great low tackle. That's one thing the Raiders do well. They do tackle very well. But Shiva Sangha down there with the tackle. Sinova, apologies.
All right, so we're on 2nd and 5. They're not going to try and do anything too fancy. We may see another run that then builds into a play-action pass. I think momentum's important here for the Rebels offense. They need to try and make sure that they're able to get upfield and get some further yards. This is a huge run to the outside. No flags on the play yet. Cutting down the sideline.
It's a massive run.
Dodging a play, jumping a player. Are we going to see a touchdown on this run? Here we are.
Absolutely. 2 plays and they've scored already. This is exactly what the Rebels needed to get back into it.
We're seeing a late flag in here at the line of scrimmage.
Did look there might have been a block in the back in towards the quarterback, so we'll see what the referees say, but that's unfortunate. That's a fantastic run by Tegan Chandler down the sideline yet again. We have the side judge coming in as well.
Tegan Chandler showing how
We have
incredibly
illegal block in the
elusive she
back.
is.
Number 3 of the Rebels, 10 yards. Repeat the down.
This comes back to what you were saying before about discipline. This has just wiped off a touchdown for them and pushed them back into a pretty scary yardage situation in their own half, almost in their red zone. So it'll be interesting to see how Rebels respond to this, keep their heads up after the loss of that touchdown and try and fight back.
You got 25 seconds.
Nice QB run, bounce back to the inside, able to get some additional yards there.
Yeah, that's a great cutback by Tegan there. Gone from what could have been a tackle for a loss to quite a decent gain on a 2nd and long.
All right, we're pulling into 3rd and short. completion has to be a consideration here to maintain momentum for the Rebels. Quick pass game has shown to have its dividends in the games previously. It'll be interesting to see where they choose to do that.
They do have some very fast receivers out on that trip side too, on the wide side of the field. They've stuck with the run.
This is another big run to try and cut up field, dodging, making it, being able to balance and again get back onto the field. Huge run, huge run.
That's a huge run and a nice tackle break in the backfield as well. It looked to me like that was nearly going to be stopped for short of the line to gain, but just be able to break that tackle and get to the outside and make 5-10 more yards. It's a fantastic run by Tegan Chandler.
You can see the run here, dodges it, actually looks to break a tackle at the line of scrimmage and keep running, firing her legs and then getting upfield. There's 2 or 3 broken tackles that are incredible.
And that's a sign of a good running back there, just keeping her legs pumping, staying low to the ground, some great cuts. That's a fantastic run. Pass play here.
Seeing a pass here, looking for options downfield.
That's a fantastic catch. Great pass play. This is something that Rebels do very well. That's Liz Shorter with the fantastic route and catch to get her team back up and ready to score.
Shades of a Will Bartell's catch that was made in another grand final many years ago.
Interesting to see what the Rebels do here, whether they stick with their run game with Tegan that's been so effective or whether they keep going back to that pass.
I think part of the benefit of their deep passing game is that they are so successful with Tegan in the run. So you can see here that they have to come down and play. She again breaks it to the outside, taking speed, cutting up the sideline, looking at an angle to make it free. It's still yards and yards every single time and keeping the defence off the field, allowing them to take their time to recover. Tegan's slow to get up, but showing a great amount of tenacity around being able to move towards this.
It was, and it was a nice work by number 21 for the Raiders, Nadia Rosens, just to keep her outside containment, which is important for a corner, and just force Tegan Chandler back inside where her teammates could make that tackle. She gives up the outside there, Nadia. That's a touchdown.
Trips into the boundary side, probably looking to speed option the field. Let's see what we can get here. Oh,
that's
coach calls it many
tackle.
times. Well played by the defence to be able to shut that down.
And it's Sophie Schechter. That's a fantastic tackle. It's well read, great tackle, great form. That's a big play to make, putting her onto third down.
One of the problems that you do see with teams that do run speed option against teams that regularly run triple, they're incredibly disciplined here in regards to knowing where they should tackle and where they should be. They play against that kind of option offense all day when they're at training, and it's important that they don't bite on it or anything like that. It's a quick pitch and it's well tackled.
That's fantastic work. Looked like she's gone down with a bit of cramp there. So both teams taking a break, getting some water in. It's very hot in the field out there for those that aren't outside, so important to get that water in to keep them going. Both teams very fortunate to have a very strong squad, very big numbers. So they've got the backups there if they need to, which is also important. Make sure you get rotation and give every player a break out there as well.
Seeing 33 stretched out and back on the field, it looks like we've got a much tighter game now based on the momentum shift. We're in 3rd and long. It's much harder for offences to score as they approach what we call the red zone, so the ability to score is different. You're not going to be able to see a really deep pass like they just did then. You need to make sure that you're able to stretch the field with passing both horizontally and vertically and try and absorb the space that they can.
Do you think they come back out here with a run then instead?
I would expect a play action of some description. I think they're going to try and get the run in. It's a new back. They're resting their current Tegan. So seeing what they're going to be doing here, we might just see a little run to try and get over the top. But again, trying to get open and in space, looking downfield and throwing. Interception.
Very unfortunate. She did well there to dodge the pressure, step up in the pocket, but just straight to the defender sitting over the middle there, whether she was blocked from her line of sight. Rebels did such a great run to get up the field. They'll be very disappointed to not take points away from that drive.
Similar position here, though. Again, I think you're going to look at the Raiders are in a position for their run game to be able to excel, but it is incredibly hard to drive the field on something like that. So we're now starting to play a game of positional football on the field and understanding where punts have to be and where special teams needs to play a role. This undercut by the linebacker in the middle of the field was incredibly good. They football intelligence means sometimes you would have taken that in the end zone and just kneeled it out to put your offense on the 20. Unfortunately, they've now come out of the end zone, viewing a big return, and their offense is now in the backfield. So, looking at this, expect either an inside run or a QB sneak.
That's good work there with the QB sneak. I was a bit concerned how they're going to run that wishbone there with their backfield significantly shortened up. But Beck Baldwin's done a great job just to sneak up the middle, get a team some yards and a little bit more space to run their formations and open up their playbook a little bit.
We're seeing a convention here on the field.
Another flag on the sideline there.
Flag's waved. So that looks like it will be... we're on 2nd and 6.
So for those of you who might not be up to date with the sport, so the flag is actually a marker that one of the referees flows into mark a penalty. They wait to the end of the play and then they'll discuss between them what the penalty was. In that case, the white hat is deemed that not a penalty, so he's picked up the flag, waved it off, so there'll be no penalty on that play.
Quick pitch to the outside, unable, huge tackle, broken. Recovery, looks like a 1-yard gain. Rebels starting to show in a better position for being able to defend this now that they understand what's happening with the triple option.
That's it. Victoria Latu got outside there very quickly. Just Serica, very light on her feet, managed to spin out of it, but unfortunately couldn't stay on her feet much longer than that. But they'll take the gain from that any day.
Looking here, 3rd and 3. It's potentially dangerous position for the Raiders based on the distance they have to now try and carry.
We're looking to run up the middle here. We've got Grace back in the fullback position.
Play action pass, interesting. It nearly looks like it's a sack. Thrown to the outside, caught into the field, having to come down, make a play. Still a huge gain, running to the sideline and running out of bounds.
Yeah, that's brilliant work from Serica Shillingsworth there, just to find some space for a quarterback, find an opening. Beck Baldwin scrambling and managed to get the ball to her as well, and for a massive gain. That relieves a lot of pressure there for the Raiders.
Throwing in the face of pressure like that's incredibly hard.
Hang on, is it a timeout or is it?
You can see here it should have been a sack, missed it, throw to the outside, backs in the flat. A lot of open space trying to come down and running out of bounds here. Missing out on a couple of extra yards, unsure of what the hands up in the air were for there.
And what's interesting too, that Beck is actually a left-handed quarterback, so that was a lot easier throw for her to make it to that sideline for Serica. A lot of right-handed quarterbacks would have been in a lot of trouble there, trying to make that throw to their outside.
And trying to flip their hips and be able to get the ball back across the field is incredibly challenging.
Yeah, it takes that split second that might have been the difference between getting the ball away and getting tackled for a loss.
No timeout is charged. No timeout is charged. That's the quarter.
That's the quarter. So 10 minutes left to play, and I understand the 10 minutes doesn't go nearly as fast as what you think it is. Clock stops for us on incomplete passes, out of bounds, and a couple other circumstances. I think the reason we're seeing such a fast third quarter here is the result of is the result of the running game by the Raiders and some strong completion by the Rebels. Clock management isn't as much of a factor at the moment just because of the closeness of the game. I think if you were 2 touchdowns different at this moment in time, coaches would be starting to panic just based on possession and the way in which the ball's being managed. Playing from ahead definitely gives the Raiders some space in regards to ball possession and being able to hold on to it for as long as possible. I think they know as well that it's a high-powered offense and that they can score from anywhere on the field. So the more they can keep them off the field, the more successful they're going to be.
And not only high-powered offense can score from anywhere, but don't take a lot of time to do it. They can get 1 or 2 touchdowns on the field very quickly with taking very little time off the clock.
100%.
35 on the right hash.
So just a little bit of confusion here about where to spot the ball. The end's changing at the end of the quarter. The refs are just sorting that out between them now. So players on the field just having a bit of a break between them, using that chance just to calm down and have a bit of a rest before they get back into it.
Temperature on the field will be starting to amp up.
Hang on.
Waiting to see whether or not that starts to play a factor in mistakes and decisions that are needing to be made.
It hasn't looked like it has too far, which is good to see. That's showing good ball security, good focus by both teams, actually. Trees on the hill starting to move a little bit, but whether that's making it down to the field would be a different story. It's also very hot out there. The girls will be wearing multiple layers with the pads and the jerseys, helmets. Not a lot of air circulation gets in there, so very warm wearing all that as well.
I think the age-old use of pickle juice really helps in the prevention of cramps for anyone who's watching from home.
The ice bags are also special down the back of the pads, keeping the neck nice and cold. They'll be doing that as soon as players go to the sideline. They'll have ice water and be cooling them down there on both their tents. Both teams have very good coaching staff and support staff, so they'll be managing that and making sure the players are fit and hydrated and ready to give their best on the field.
Looks like we've gotten to a point on the ball position here. Refs have cleared the field and play will resume. Rebels staying down in their 5-man line, maintaining the adjustments against the another convention, just to confirm the positioning. You can see the ref in the middle of the field standing over the ball to make sure the play doesn't continue.
No, we're doing it here. Nope, thank you. Roll, go.
And ready to go again.
Five-man line. Beck Baldwin under centre. Looking to continue the success of this triple option and double dive, waiting to see what happens. Huge thing here. Well stopped at the line of scrimmage, shifting the main block and getting in. It's only a 1-yard gain. Those are the big plays for the defence, that if they string one or two more of those together, the triple option really starts to falter in its ability to drive up the field. Possession still matters at the moment. It's incredibly important to understand what that looks like. And from a timing point of view, coaches are critically aware of the number of plays that they have in any quarter, and the role that they have to play in making sure that they can be successful. Raiders taking their time to go up to the line in no rush, giving them plenty of space to be able to relax and do what they need to do. It's another inside run, huge run inside, looking to pull it out.
Back to Grace there. She looks like she's got 4, maybe 5 yards, depending on where they spot this ball. Just again, Rebels unable to stop that power run from the fullback. Refs are coming together again. Let's see what this call is here, or are they just clarifying something between themselves?
Okay. All right.
Plays to continue. Refs have vacated the field.
20.
Potential adjustments here as they're now in a huddle and breaking. They're not going with what they would have known by default. Making sure that they know what's going on. Potentially something new that we haven't seen before, and an adjustment of some description.
The running backs do seem to be a lot closer to the quarterback and the ball than they have been on previous plays, so maybe we expect to see something different here.
Potential pass or potential inside and just a run through there. Again, this inability to stop the dive is making the depth and the drive to the field incredibly challenging.
Grace Ulubuatu with another fantastic run up the middle, gets in the first down, and they just keep rolling up the field.
this offensive line is absolutely dominating the defensive line at the moment, being able to create gaps for the running backs and the fullbacks that are incredibly hard to stymie and stop. So speed off the edge here, sack. Now that's the play that you're going to need to have to try and solve these problems. So putting them back 2 yards, 3 yards, we're now at 2nd and 13. This is a potential opportunity where you're now forcing them to come out of their 2, 3, 4 yard gain situations and really have to play in a way that was unexpected. You can see here, fumbled snap, allowed for 13 to come down and really try and make a play on this.
That's Frenchie. She's read that very well there. Just being patient, watching that come down and then getting right in Beck's face, shutting off that option and ending up getting the tackle with number 59 there.
Seeing the O-line There's a timeout called and they were about to be charged to delay a game.
Timeout, Raiders!
If there's a potential here for the Raiders to drive the ball, to drive the ball for the whole second half and control the tempo really, really well.
They are certainly chewing up a lot of the clock here. Rebels need to come up with an answer for this so they can get the ball back, because they definitely need to score. Raiders are pretty comfortable in position that they can use up as much time as they need to. But Rebels, it's going to start getting time where they desperately need the ball back to make some plays.
Just see a replay here of unfortunately a bad decision made. Again, trying to step up, throwing into what you consider double coverage and being able to undercut that. There's been some really strong plays made on both sides of the ball. You can see the sack coming down here and the ability to play that out. It's anybody's game at the moment. If the Rebels can capitalise on this backwards transition that the Raiders have done, there'll be a real option left in this game to try and get after it. I think if you see another 1 or 2 first downs, there's an incredibly challenging position to try and put the Rebels offence in to have to go and make a play and score. Under centre, tidying up that, we've seen another run to the outside, broken free with a lot of space, tackled and pushed out of bounds, which is a good thing.
But that's Serica again with a lovely step, took her a few steps backwards, just got out and around and found so much more space up the outside. Rebels definitely focusing on that inside run, which does open up that outside, and you've got dangerous players like Serica. You're in trouble if you give up that outside, so they've done well to slide over and reduce the amount of yards she could gain there.
I think this is one of these problematic positions where you're on 3rd and long, 3rd and 7. You need to be aware that you're probably going to go for it on 4th down here if you're the Raiders, so you can do a run that's going to give you less space, maybe an inside handoff to the back. Know that you're going to go for it on 4th and try and burn more of the clock, or you're going to try and convert this and put yourself in a better position. I think there's a fumble and there's a recovery on the field again, so this is now 4th and long. This is the position that the Raiders were doing everything to try and avoid, and it's what happens when you keep the offense on the field for a long time as well, which is why these long drives are hard. To be fair, the Raiders started on their 2-yard line and they've currently moved 40 yards and chewed an incredible amount of clock in regards to what they're trying to do. Looks like they're going to punt it now. This is the danger position, I think, as well. An incredibly good punt by the punter here. You're able to really pin them back in their own end zone, and they haven't been particularly good at transitioning out of that.
We saw in the earlier punt, the punter was managed to put the ball out at the 1-yard line. So
if it's well fielded here, you're able to see that she's going to transition with speed and down to the sideline, trying to cut up, but is just caught.
Beck Gordon there was trying to get the outside. That's unfortunate she couldn't. She's very, very quick and could have given a big chunk of yards to the Rebels. As she did, she managed to give them quite a few yards just to get them a good head start, and very, very much better field position than it was in the last punt. But beautiful tackle there by Sophie Schechter coming across as well, number 33, chasing her right from the other side of the field. That's a fantastic tackle.
See Blake Jones revving his team up there. This is an interesting one. It's a under centre formation. Seeing motion to the other side, looking at what they can do. Pitch, running past, trying to catch out to the outside, relying on their speed, breaking. Looks like we've got a flag here.
Didn't see too much happening in the backfield there for that flag, but we'll watch for the refs to make that call. Interesting play. The Rebels sent everyone to the short side and then speed option back to the wide side, opening up that space for Tegan Chandler to get some room. We've already seen many times how dangerous she is with some space.
7. Okay. You. Chip, you up.
Ref's just having a little bit of trouble with his microphone here.
We have illegal shift. 7 of the Rebels, 5 yards. Repeat the down.
So we've got an illegal shift from the offense here, or illegal formation, which means they had too many people in motion at the same time, or they had too many players in the backfield. It's an unfortunate call, but it's a very technical one. So something just to keep an eye out of from the coaching staff as well as the players on the field. The Raiders taking the time out here, coming in, having a bit of a break. I think Rebels wouldn't be too upset about that either.
I think with the timeouts you have left, you need to be really considerate to how you're going to manage the clock from a team that's playing from behind. I know with the Rebels being in the position they are, they need to try and retain as many timeouts as they can.
Yes, they do. Raiders also need to keep an eye on that, knowing how quickly the Rebels can score. Raiders are playing a longer sort of game. They don't have as much downfield options or quick scoring options. So they also need to keep in the back of their head. If Rebels do score, they need to be aware of their timeouts as well. He's very much laying down the law into his huddle over there, making sure his players give every last little bit out there for the last 4 minutes and change that we have left to come.
I think one of the things that teams do practice for is the idea of football situations. So coming out of your end zone, 2-minute drill where you've got 2 minutes left to win the game, you've got 2 minutes left to stop them from scoring. What you're seeing here is as close to what you get as a conventional 4-minute drill. So you're wanting to hold on to the ball for as long as possible, score in the last period of time. You don't have to win all at once. You can see with the field here now that they've got an inside zone, dodged and cut back upfield. This is a big run to the outside. Again, huge run. Is there any flags coming down onto the field? It's a big shift.
Doesn't appear to be. It's another great run by Tegan Chandler.
It's
being able to first down there.
Yeah, being able to maintain time, and I think the next step that's going to be incredibly important here is a view that if they are successful and do score, what does the role of special teams look like in trying to pin them within their own end zone.
It's good blocking work there from the Rebels as well, making that outside available for Tegan. Going for another run, cutting up the outside and back into the middle.
This is a big run into the inside of the field, trying to cut back out.
That's number 20. That's a brilliant tackle from behind, chasing it down from the other side of the field.
When
That's
you do,
Lucy Globe there, a very great player in her own right. Looks like we have an injured player on the field again. Someone down for the Rebels.
can just be simple exhaustion. She's just made 2 massive runs with plenty of Raiders tackling her and going through the space that she has.
Yeah, you couldn't excuse her. Well, you could excuse her for being exhausted in this heat and the fantastic run she's made today. So
You can see here again, this power play is working really well, pulling the guard round to wrap on the end. The vision that's being made here is incredible by Tegan. It's really good to see the desire and elusiveness to get downfield and use the space that she has. Good decision. You can see her getting up slowly, taking her time to feel like she is where she needs to be. She'll be off the field for the next play just to take her time. But yeah, it's it's been a testament to the amount of individual effort that you can see in these situations.
Absolutely. And just in that effort too, you mentioning the vision she's got, but also the blocking from the other receivers from the Rebels. So not a lot of people know that wide receiver, a lot of that, the big part of that job is actually blocking for your running back, and they've done a really good job there to stop the Raiders defenders and opening that path for Tegan to get outside and making very clear box for her to read off.
It looks like she's got up on her own, which is always a really positive thing for her to try and work through, and walking off the field by herself is always a good thing. It's always a coaching conversation you have to have with new players as well, where it's like you don't have to get up. If you're injured on the field, you can take your time. There's no rush or requirement for that. I think it'll be interesting to see now, after having the work that she's done, what position this puts the Rebels in. It looks like they've got trips to the field and they're about to blow in the ball. This is a replay. See, inside zone there, cut to the outside speed. There's a lot of space. Broken tackle coming back in. Huge run inside.
Georgia Fryer, fantastic run. Nice cut up on the inside. Was wondering how they were going to go, seeing their running game's been the most explosive for the Rebels so far, but looks like there's no trouble putting Georgie in there after Tegan.
It's one of the challenges that I think defences would have in playing an offence that can score vertically is now that it does open up the run game. I think conventional football thinking has always been that you have the run to open up the pass. Looks like the Rebels have turned that on the head a little bit and are trying to get everyone out into pass defence because of their accuracy to then be able to make a decision. Great vision here, great release of a block so there was nothing in the backfield. New play inside zone, cutting upfield again, open space, great stalk blocking by wide receivers, getting out to the sideline, making a decision off that.
Brilliant tackle by number 21 there. And we saw the Raiders defence very far back. They're obviously expecting a long pass, or they're trying to cover up if that happens. And so that opens up the inside run there with so many fenders back deep. Takes them a while to get back in and make that tackle.
I think what we'll see is the minute we start to see the defence shift to a shorter, more close-up run defence, that you'll expect them to open up over the top. But I think the comfort that they have now is in their run game, and it's executing quite well. 2 minutes left to go. It's clock's ticking by all means. Timeout at the moment. I think the ability to score on this drive for the Rebels without putting pressure on the team that they're already aware of, they don't score here. They're going home without a win.
Yes. Just looking at that replay, great block, great pulling guard from number 97 there, Chrissy. Playing against her, she's an absolute weapon as a pulling guard. She will run you over, but she's done very, very well as the lead blocker there to set up that run.
The effort by number 21 on the Raiders was specifically impressive around her attempt to try and strip the ball. You know, sometimes when you do have those long runs, you know you're going to make a tackle, you know you've got help. The best thing you can try and do is get a turnover and take the ball off them, even though they've made that massive change. And I think, it was a stellar effort to try and get there. Number 11, was it, that made the run?
Yeah.
Was just incredibly strong in ball security and not being able to release that at that time.
Yeah, she was. Number 21, Nadia, she's had a great game actually in coverage, and that was a fantastic tackle, especially getting over to where she needed to be. It's good to see that stripping the ball's on their mind. They're not just settling in, they're still competing, they're still trying to get the ball off, so that's good signs for the Raiders.
Cleared the field now. Again, just another run play, going straight inside, trying to get some movement forward. Momentum and stopped.
That's great push from the D-line and the linebackers from the Raiders, just all hustling in there, getting hats on the ball. Their coaches will be very pleased, especially Dane, with his defensive mindset. That's one thing on defense, you get your hats to the ball. That's a very well very well done.
I think we are starting to see this shift to a stronger run defence, one deep safety, possibly playing cover one man or cover three here. You can expect that there might be a passing opportunity if the run doesn't start to open up. Trying to fight forward again.
Yeah, that's Georgie Fry, number 11. She's done well there. That's a tough run into some big bodies. But as you were saying there, the Raiders' corners are also coming back. When they were further down the field, they were as much as 10 yards deep, but they're coming back to about 5 yards at the moment. The safety coming down as well, just being more prepared for that run. Looks like Tegan Chandler's coming back on the field as well, so it's good to see she's okay. But Georgie Fry has done a fantastic job in her absence.
So that's the 2-minute warning. Team's just been notified that it's 2 minutes. They are on 3rd and 5. They're going to go for it on 4th regardless. There's no advantage to not. Coaches know they've got 2 plays to try and make this yardage. It'll be interesting to see what they're doing. They're convening on the sideline here, waiting to see what happens. A position like this with a team specifically, you'll often try and see them go for a hard count, so they'll go for it on 2 instead of 1. Try and overexpose what the defenses are trying to do, which is get a jump on the ball and get ahead of it. We often call that a freeze call, or something where they don't have any play called in, and they'll call it in post the attempt. So once they go on 1, they'll go on it again.
Even the option there of a free play, defense jumps offside. Depending on their route to the quarterback, the refs might let it run. So Rebels can know that they can do anything on that play and they still come back and get that penalty.
100%.
Seeing a beautiful run from Tegan here. Rebels are getting back into it nice and keen. Raiders having a very serious conversation, starting to come back out now. Back into trips on the wide side of the field for Rebels.
There's a flag on the play for too many offensive players on the field. They're going to get a penalty anyway.
There'd be defensive players on the field.
Sorry, too many defensive players on the field by the looks of it.
Had a Raider running off when the ball was snapped. So that's good awareness by the Rebels to snap that ball while she was still on the field and draw that flag.
We touched on that earlier, discipline, right? The issues as you start to get into the late part of the game is the ability for everyone to be on the same page about where they need to be and who needs to be on the field.
Especially coming out of a huddle, that's a big mistake, and that could cost them dearly here.
Little miscommunication there and a whole heap of panic by the Rebels.
Luckily everyone kept their heads there and clarified that.
So we're now on 3rd and 1. Incredibly strong position for the...
Refs continuing to talk here. Let's see what they're saying. Whether they call this an automatic first down or not.
Yeah, no, that's right. Hey. Sorry, it's either 5 yards from the original line of scrimmage or the result of the play, which is essentially the same.
It should be first down.
So CT, the white hat, just coming over and explaining to Blake.
Seeing them on the field.
Blake's calling what he sees, and they'll have a discussion and explanation of why the ball is where it is and whether the down changes.
All right, so Ed is marking the play here. Okay, so the penalty is declined.
There's some questions around the distance that the running back travelled based on that, and what the assessment is that the ball made it past the line of scrimmage, so it's a first down. So Blake will choose to decline the penalty, and it's first down.
Just stopping here while the chain crew gets reset to this new play.
Waiting for the chains to adjust. First down. Chains moved. Rebels have a new lease on life here. 2 minutes to go in the red zone. This is what game's made of. Dodged a break on the inside. Huge tackle.
Huge tackle from behind. It's BK Cullen That's a fantastic tackle. That's really saved them. What could have been a potential touchdown there from Tegan Chandler.
Slicing upfield. Looking at this flattening out again. Looks like it's going to be a QB keep. This is a huge sack.
It's a massive sack. That's BK Cullen in there as well. We've got number 20, number 58 there as well. That's fantastic pressure by the Raiders to stop that in the backfield. So Rebels have called a timeout. We see that tackle then again from Princess Malio. BK Cullen coming in there as well, over the top. That's fantastic with 3 players on the ball there. So Lucy Globe was the last one coming in. Just helped really wrap up that player.
It's one of those challenges you have when you start to get ahead, and if you have to call a play that really puts you behind as to what you're going to do. Now, 3rd and long, one of these next 2 plays, if they don't recover on a run quite quickly, and it looks like they're starting to run blitz, what they're seeing, so you're going to expect a pass over the middle of the field. It'll require the QB to step up in the pocket, do what they need to do, and not get flustered by the incoming pressure. But I think, yeah, they're in a position at the moment that if they don't start to make a tangible adjustment, the blitz from the Raiders is getting home.
Very much so. We saw that pressure on the handoff there that made the quarterback keep that ball then. So we'll see what they continue with here. Rebels do have a good passing game. We just need to see those receivers need to keep their heads tuned to the quarterback. She's going to have to get that ball out in emergency if Raiders keep blitzing like this.
This is a big 3rd down.
Here the Raiders getting loud cheering on their defense.
Expected pass play across to the inside of the field. That's a deep pass over the top.
Oh, unfortunate there from Mackenzie Sivia. That's a great pass, a great route. Just couldn't get there at the right time. That would have been the touchdown that put them ahead. I'm sure they'll both be thinking of that over in their heads, trying to make that play work.
This is the down that will determine who is the winner of the Opal Bowl at this point in time. I think the recognition of the enormity of this play shouldn't be understated. Looking at what the receivers have and the expected timeout to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Most football games don't often come down to the one play that's going to determine whether you're succeeding or failing, but I think this is a pretty incredible reflection of how complete the league is and how tight these 2 top teams are. It could have been anyone on the day, and it's the game's reflective of that.
Very much so. 2 teams been close the last few years, right through this season. A draw and a last-minute touchdown in the previous games. You don't get a lot closer than that, so good to see that come through today, show the strength of our league, and a great exhibition of women's football as well.
I think there's plenty of growth left in the sport, especially for the women's teams and how they've been growing over these previous years, and the quality of the game's only getting better and better. I think the transition to 9-a-side and watching the games and how complicated they can be and what additional plays are now available to them has really changed how the game's being played.
100%. With 7-man, we saw a lot of runs just to the outside, or quick passes to the outside, and just a lot of runs downfield, getting around the outside defenders. So this has definitely put a lot of complexity in the game, a lot of technical nows. So no surprise to see 2 of the best coaches in the league here with Blake and Dane with their technical knowledge of the game in the Opal Bowl.
This is the play of the game, looking at who is where and what we're trying to do. It's a pass looking to block and defend deep. And that's it.
Going back to Sivir, and unfortunately a drop ball again. It's a shame. Raiders are celebrating, but not quite over yet. But it's going to be very hard to get Rebels to get there.
Yeah, there's not sufficient time left in the game, so the Raiders will be able to nail this out and win.
Very unfortunate. Mackenzie out there in space all by herself. So Good read from the quarterback, fantastic route. She does run a very, very good route, Mackenzie, very quick player. Just unfortunate not to be able to get her hands on the ball there. Just waiting to get back on the ball here.
This is what's called a victory formation. You'll see that the Raiders are set in a position. They'll kneel to then burn out the clock. Time running down.
Just the refs talking here about how much time is left or whether to call the game here. And they've called it. Raiders with the win. Congratulations to the University of New South Wales Raiders. Opal goal win, 18 points to 14. It's a fantastic effort, especially without their quarterback. It's great to see them get that win. They're very impressed. Rebels should not be upset with themselves at all. They really gave it to the Raiders today. They should hold their heads up high for a fantastic game, a fantastic season. They went through undefeated prior to this.
And for the rest of the day, we'll also be streaming Gridiron Live. We'll be having the under-19s Colts teams of the Northern Sydney Rebels and the Nepean Ducks playing at 12 o'clock. And then for the Kookaburra Bowl and for the Waratah Bowl, we'll be having the University of Sydney Lions versus the NSW Raiders. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we hope you have a great day.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's the opening. All right, to have a game goes right down to the wire. Put it on it. Before we hand the Opal Gold trophy out to the winning team, I have a little presentation for one of our officials, one of our oldest officials. Believe it, one of our officials is 85 years young and has today done his last game. So to celebrate this achievement with Ed, the sport here at you. Ed, we have a little event for you to say thank you for your years of service. Now for our MVP. Number 54, Grace Opal. On the third of the code, I'd like to call off Blake Jones for balls to safety league.
NSW, the next day to play series like this.
Great job, guys. Thank you. Dane, come say a few words, please.
Thank you to New South Wales for the event today. We've only been getting better with the venue that we've shown. As always, thank you to the Rebels. We do this every year. We know it's a balancing act, it's very close. And we wake up to the day off and we don't know we're going to win, we don't know we're going to lose. It's very much a point on, which says I think a lot about both of our clubs. Hopefully the rest of the league can do that time to get to where we are, so it's not as one time. Traditionally I've usually done this job by myself, or more or less by myself. This year we've got a couple of people in coaches that help us out a lot. Made a really big difference. First and foremost, Mr. Red, who jumped in as our main recruiter. Main recruiter, offensive coordinator. We had Tim who jumped in and helped because he's on expertise on offense to Red, acting as a mentor there. Darren Mitchell jumping in to be essentially our rules expert. Anything that we needed to know, he was the go-to man, as well as being a calmer downer of me. Didn't do an amazing job today, but we can work on that next season. Aaron, great job. Player that I played with back in my days. Great to have on the sideline for D6. I didn't forget there was a late addition, but Marcos gave some sign help today, which was excellent. Really appreciate it. The last thing I'll add in here is the play. Open ball. Awesome this year. Major hurdle in the first quarter. We were able to finish line on. So well done. Congratulations.
Without further ado, the 2023 Opal Bowl champion.